good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Thomas, and what's your name?
I'm Alan.
Alan.
Yeah. We're brothers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Forgot that.
Same mother and father.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we're known as
You're in a photo I think I have on my fridge.
When?
Yeah.
I think we grew up together. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Your room was...
we shared a room.
Shared a room.
We shared a room.
Thought I knew your face.
Yeah, we go way back, mate. Yeah.
We should do a podcast then.
We have.
We do a podcast.
We do a podcast.
What's it called?
The
Broadcast.
Yeah, that was planned.
Yeah, well.
What do we do?
Well, we cover all different things in the world of pop culture. We're talking about comic books, we're talking about professional wrestling, and we're talking about movies.
Movies, yes. We've covered quite a lot of movies with our compilations. We sit back here and we watch movies, and we do give you, the wonderful people out there who listen to this, our own sort of audio track. It also
give you an unwanted commentary.
Yeah, you could just, I could simply just sit down and watch a movie, but these guys are talking over it. I can't enjoy this.
And if you dig professional wrestling, we go back and watch classic retro wrestling events, the likes of WWE, WCW, and if you do like that, you can check us out on Apple iTunes, also on Podbean, Anchor, and on Podknife. Also check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast. That's BROKAST. I nearly stuffed up the ending.
No, it's all right. Good on you.
Yeah. Instagram also at The Broadcast Podcast.
Remember, we don't spell it with a C. We spell it with a K.
Sorry, mate.
Take it easy.
What's up, guys? Listen up. It's your boy Malik, a.k.a. Narcolepsy Boy 94, and I'm here to tell you, if you're a true wrestling fan and you love listening to wrestling podcasts and you're looking for a brand new podcast to listen to, I have the perfect podcast for you. My podcast. 24/7 wrestling podcast. Yes, 24/7 wrestling podcast. I talk about everything pro wrestling, from New Japan to WWE to NXT to All Elite Wrestling to Ring of Honor. I talk about everything. I do reviews on shows. I do predictions. I do top 10s. I have guests. I do it all, man. Check out my podcast, the 24/7 wrestling podcast. You can go find it at anchor.fm/narcolepsyboy94. That's anchor.fm/narcolepsyboy94. Make sure you guys go check it out. I appreciate it.
Hey, yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J. Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J. Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, yeah.
Vroom vroom, we just watched Fastlane yesterday. Welcome to another edition of Wrestling Reverb. Kevin is here as well. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Enjoying it's very beautiful here this today. It's very nice weather outside. I was enjoying that. Now I'm going to enjoy this show because I think we're going to have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. Oh, well, no. I woke up to a very gloomy, cloudy day here. We're just coming out of summer. We're in, well, you call it fall over there, we call it autumn here.
Yeah.
We're coming into autumn, and autumn in this part of Australia is just like cloudy, like humid weather all the time. And I don't like autumn. I like winter time, guys. I'm a winter body. I just want it to be cold because it doesn't get all that cold here. Like, we don't get snow or anything like that. So I like winter time. But we've had this chat before, and you're more of a summer body, aren't you?
Yes, I enjoy the warm weather more so than the cold. I don't know, something about it.
Yeah, but you would get really cold, wouldn't you? You'd get snow cold.
Oh, yeah, it gets absolutely freezing here in the wintertime.
Yeah, we don't get that. Well, there is parts of Australia, obviously, that have snow, but not here. We don't get snow here. The coldest we get is, 0 degrees Celsius, which is, I mean, it's cold, but it's not like I can deal with it, but I don't really feel the cold. I feel the heat like crazy, because we get it like real hot here. Like we get up to like 47 degrees, which is like 115 in your land. So it's hot when it's hot.
Yeah, that's tough. We don't get it quite that bad here in the summer, but
Yeah.
geez,
And that's
115 degrees is very, very, very hot.
and it's like that for like 8 days straight. And like at night time, it drops like 10 degrees colder than that. And it's hot. It is hot in Australia, guys. If you don't like hot weather, don't come to Australia in summertime, because it is hot. But
if you don't like the cold, don't come to the Northeast in the United States in the wintertime, because you'll be regretting it. It gets super cold, super snowy, all the things I just hate, all wrapped up into one convenient season.
see, that's weird. It's like we're in two different universes. It's like all I know about it's like all I know about that part of the States is that it snows, it gets really cold, and I'm sure you've heard that parts of Australia gets very hot. So
Yeah.
it's like we're in two weird, like it's like we're aliens almost to each other.
In terms of geography, we kind of are.
We're literally on two different ends of the world. So, it's weird. It's, that kind of stuff, I don't know why. It just, like, zones me out of things. But anyway, when was the last time we chat? Last Thursday, Friday. And we had Foul, and we had Levi. We had a great time with them for Fastlane predictions.
Yeah,
how's your week been, or your last 5 days been? Anything cool happening with Kevin?
Nothing too much. My baby cousin had a birthday party on Saturday, so I went down to see some of my extended family, which was cool. But and I've been getting over. I know on the last show I said I was feeling under the weather. I'm pretty much over that. You might still hear a bit of a nasally tint in my voice. Sorry in advance, but I'm feeling better, which is good.
That's good. That's a good thing that you're feeling better. I'm the same. Nothing's really... Well, obviously, today, after Raw, I'm heading down to our city in our state, Adelaide, and I'm going to watch Fighting with my family, because I won tickets to go see that. So, yeah, that's exciting. I'm keen to finally watch this movie, just so I can say I've watched this movie.
Yeah, I still have yet to see it, so don't spoil it for me.
Oh no! Don't worry. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'll certainly let you know if it's worth watching.
Okay.
Because yeah, I'm just glad I won tickets. I don't have to pay to go see it, so I'm happy.
That's good. It's always good to see stuff for free.
Yeah.
Especially with movie prices. I don't know how they are in Australia.
Oh, they're expensive.
Yeah.
Expensive. Everything's more expensive in Australia. Everything. Our exchange rate is horrible. Like, so say, for example, guys, WWE shop, I believe your t-shirt prices are like $25 a t-shirt in the States, I believe.
Sounds right, yep.
Yeah, it's $42 with the exchange rate here.
Ooh. Ooh.
So
yeah, that is tough.
Yeah, and then paying for shipping for things from the States or from England, it's usually like $25 at least. So I'm paying like $60 for one WWE shop t-shirt, for example.
Man, they get you good.
Yeah, and I am a sucker, and I do it.
Yeah, well, you gotta have your merch. Gotta get that merch.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, obviously we've had some big news since the last time we chat. We are going to be a part of BrainBusta Radio. It's going to be a very fun... We've already had, since... I think the announcement has been like 3 or 4 days since the announcement. And already I can tell that we're with an incredible group of people, and we are going to just... I think it's just going to be a lot freedom, a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know what BrainBusta Radio is, it's I wouldn't call it a podcast network. It's more of just like a collective of very respected voices in the wrestling independent podcast world, I guess you would say. So for those of you who don't know who's on it, I'll quickly run down the list. So how it works is each day there's going to be an exclusive podcast to BrainBusta Radio. So each day there's someone different, and they get their own kind of channel, I guess you will. So on Mondays you've got Omega Luke Wrestling, which me and Kevin both know. He's a great dude in the wrestling community on Twitter. Then of course you got Wilfred Watch's podcast on Tuesdays, and Wilf is the brains behind BrainBusta Radio, a top dude, just ready to take a different approach with doing a quote-unquote podcast network, I guess. On Wednesdays, you've got Queens Collide and No Particular Angle. I've been in these group chats with all these people for the last couple of weeks, and they are all just very respectful of one another. We all want to help each other out. We all want to collab. And Wednesdays will be a fun day with both of them. Then, of course, on Thursdays, you've got Foul Original, and Kev, we love Foul.
We all know Foul. We all love Foul. It'd be great to be working alongside Foul.
And then we've got to follow Foul on Fridays, because that's Day of Wrestling Reverb. So Wrestling Reverb will be on Fridays, exclusive to BrainBusta, but just to quickly, briefly run down how it will work, I've said on my Twitter and I've said on my Instagram stuff, but so on Fridays will be exclusive to BrainBusta Radio, and then we are still able to do, if we wanted to do 6 shows every other day of the week where we can, we're still going to have our show like in this slot, our Raw Day show. That will still be a thing that's happening, and any other bonus episodes will be all on the normal feed you're finding this on now. But on Fridays, you can only listen to Wrestling Reverb on BrainBusta Radio. So go to iTunes and Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube, and go and subscribe to BrainBusta Radio, because that's the only way you're going to find Wrestling Reverb on Fridays. You won't get it anywhere else, so make sure you do that. Then on Saturdays, you're going to have the Mount Rushmore Badlands podcast, which, if people know Mags on Twitter, he's a great person, and
Sure.
Yeah, he's going to be starting up a new podcast on BrainBusta Radio on Saturdays. And then on Sundays, you've got the 3 boys from the UK. It's the Wrestle Thoughts podcast. They're a great group of guys as well. It's just going to be a really good group of people. Everyone wants to help each other, like I said, and everyone's got the drive and determination to make this work. I will say that on Saturday, when the announcement took place of everyone that's going to be involved, it got a lot of traction, and it kind of took me back a little bit to be, whoa, this is going to be really cool. So it launches April 1st, so it's WrestleMania week. It launches with Omega Luke Wrestling. He's going to be opening it up on the Monday. We come in on the Friday, and I can already tell you that Friday show, the first ever show on BrainBusta Radio, will be a BrainBusta exclusive WrestleMania prediction show. So we'll be 3 days before WrestleMania. We're going to talk WrestleMania predictions. We're going to talk NXT TakeOver New York predictions. We're going to have a Hall of Fame chat. It's going to be a big show for the debut for us on BrainBusta Radio. So good week to start, I think. But all in all, I'm so excited to be a part of BrainBusta Radio. Wilf had a lot of people to consider, and the fact that he chose us, he chose Wrestling Reverb, is a pretty big deal to me because I know that he had just mountains of podcasts to go through, and there was only so many slots, and Friday is a great day for us. It works for us. It's a lead into the weekend for everybody. So please make sure you go and subscribe to BrainBusta Radio because all of these podcasts are just top quality. I think he's done a really good job of being really diverse. It's going to cover WWE, it'll cover New Japan, it'll cover British wrestling, it'll cover Impact, it'll cover AEW. It's going to cover everything. He's got any kind of pro wrestling. BrainBusta Radio's got you covered. And I'm just really excited. We're going to all be collabing at some stage to go on each other's shows. So, Kevin, you'll be chatting with all different kinds of people from BrainBusta Radio, along with me, of course. But overall, I'm just really, really honored, and I'm really excited to get BrainBusta started at WrestleMania week.
It's cool, man. That's a cool venture for us, I think. It's important for us to have done this. We're surrounded by so much talent. I've chatted with Omega Luke, chatted with Wilf and Mags, and they're all really, not only are they really good people, but they're really sharp minds as well. They're really in tune to pro wrestling and its ins and outs and intricacies. So it'll be a lot of fun to get to do some of the other shows, have some of them on our show, just hear wrestling from so many different viewpoints. BrainBusta Radio is such a great collective. Like that's a good word to use, collective. Yeah. There's something for everybody, and I think everyone is going to be really, really pleased with how it turns out.
Yeah. The thing I noticed about it most with because obviously I've known who's on the team for a little bit longer than the world, if you will. We've been discussing for the last maybe 2 weeks or so with one another. But the thing I like about what Will's done with BrainBusta is that he has picked 6, 7 different, very different minds of pro wrestling. We all bring something different to the table, every single one of us. We're not assholes, and we're not just going to argue with one another, but we all watch something different. We all see something different in wrestling. And that's what I like most, is that it's very diverse minds of pro wrestling, but we all kind of meet in the middle. From the chats that I've had with all these people, it's just going to be really, really fun to just work with each other, and the promotion that each other, we genuinely want the best for one another. It's not a competition. It's not, we're not hidden away in any stage. Everyone's kind of getting equal love and whatever it may be. So it's going to be really, really, really fun. So, everyone to, like I said before, everyone who's worried you're not going to be able to hear Wrestling Reverb where you're hearing it now, that's not the case. You'll always hear us, in this slot on my feed, like everywhere you get podcasts, and BrainBusta is going to be everywhere you get podcasts anyway. So yeah, just Fridays, you just search for BrainBusta instead of Wrestling Reverb, and that's where you'll find Kev and I. So make sure you do that. You've still got a few weeks until WrestleMania week, so get subscribing, go to the Discord, join the chat. You can chat in there with all of us. It's open. It's an open invite to get on the Discord. Just go to BrainBusta's Twitter and you can find the Discord link. We can all chat together and talk about wrestling. So this is going to be really, really, really fun. But on that note, let's obviously Fastlane was just a pay-per-view that happened, and Kev and I have said numerous times going into this, we were just finding it a little bit unnecessary, but nonetheless, on paper, this card that changed a lot, we were looking at it and it seemed like there wasn't really going to be a bad match. And for the most part, there wasn't a bad match on this show. But anyway, let's start with the kickoff. what do we have on the kickoff? Yesterday for me, but last night for you. What was happening on the kickoff?
Okay, so first off, I think this is what happened first. I might have the order of things mixed up, but it's not that big a deal. We'll cover everything anyway.
Yeah.
But first off, we have the New Day taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. This cobbled together team that I still don't quite get of Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. So this was a pretty good match. I mean, it was fine. I don't want to call it like anything special, but for like a random tag team match on the kickoff show, it was fine.
Yeah, I was eating my breakfast when I was watching this, so it was just I just wanted to eat, and before the pay-per-view, and I was like, yeah. But it was a fine match. I remember a few little spots about it. I am honestly not surprised that the New Day won. The New Day lately don't lose. Is that a fair assessment? I don't recall the last time they've really lost.
I think it's fair to say that. I also think it's fair to say that they don't wrestle very often as much as they used to.
Yeah, that's true. They're not really... this match was so random because if I recall correctly, on SmackDown, Shinsuke and Rusev were involved in some kind of a brawl with like the Hardys and Alistair and Ricochet and the Bar or something.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you have Shinsuke and Rusev fight the Hardys instead of the New Day? I thought it was weird, but I mean, it didn't really progress anything, I guess, or maybe later in the show, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I wasn't surprised that the New Day won. It was just something to put on the kickoff, I guess.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was fine. One thing that is important to note, though, before Big E and Xavier went out for this match, they were shown backstage, right? And they were shown backstage, and all of a sudden, and this is funny because the kid who comes up and tells them that Kofi's to meet with Mr. McMahon in his office, I went to school with him.
Oh, hell.
Yeah, Christian Scoville's his name. Shout out Christian if you're out there listening. Yeah, he was a friend of mine actually. It's crazy that's 2 weeks in a row because on Raw, not even I guess 1 week, but on Raw you see him talking to Becky Lynch. Sunday you see him talking to Kofi. Good for him. I just thought that was a cool little note.
Did you pop?
I wanted to share.
Did you pop when you seen him?
Yeah, dude. I messaged him and was like, holy shit, dude, that's crazy.
Hell yeah.
That's so cool, You never know who your friends are gonna grow up to be.
That is
he grew
true.
Up to be the guy that told Kofi that he was to meet with Mr. McMahon.
Heck yeah. Well, that's a story, isn't it? Like, that's something you could tell your family. Like, I just told Kofi Kingston to go and meet with Vince McMahon. Hell yeah, I'm all about that. That's a cool story.
Nice little dinner conversation. Like, what did you do today? Well, I told Kofi Kingston he had to meet with Mr. McMahon.
Shit, my family would go crazy if I said that. They'd be like, what? Oh my god, that's cool.
Mine wouldn't react.
My mum would know what I'm talking about. My grandparents would, and they'd be like, who the fuck are you talking about? But yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It was it's just cool. It was cool to note. But the point is, Kofi Kingston's backstage with the New Day. They're getting ready to come out for their match, and all of a sudden, guy comes up, says, "Kofi, Mr. McMahon wants to meet with you in his office about the WWE title match tonight." Oh, I got giddy when this happened. I got real giddy when this happened. We'll talk about what actually happened later, but like. When that came down, I thought, "Oh boy, we're gonna get ourselves a triple threat match tonight."
Yeah, well, that was the first thing that ran through my mind. We'll talk about that more as the show progresses. We'll move into the main card. Well, Well, actually, first, I have a little bit of a gripe with the kickoff show. And
Good.
just fair warning, I may go on a little bit of a tangent here, but okay.
Oh, please, let it out. Let it out. Let it sink.
The kickoff show. It is what it is. I personally like the kickoff show. It can get a little bit boring. There's just talking and stuff like that, but that's what you get yourself into when you watch the kickoff show. So if you're watching it, you only have yourself to blame if you're bored. But I personally like the kickoff show. However, I like when the kickoff panel knows what the hell they're talking about. Coach is a fucking moron at it. He's terrible. He is so bad at the kickoff panel. You literally see him reading the script as he's saying words. That's a WWE no-no. You don't do that in WWE. I know that nobody is allowed to have cue cards, and you're not allowed, you can have obviously the commentators have a script, but you never see them reading that crap on camera. Never. That's a thing that doesn't happen in WWE. The end of the kickoff, if anyone wants proof of what I'm talking about, Coach is mid-sentence always looking down at the script so he doesn't stuff up his words. Do that shit when the camera's not there and memorize your paragraph that you have to say when you're going off the air. I just find it, and Coach is just really bad at it. He stumbles over his words, and he, just isn't very good at being a panel host, which is weird because he comes from ESPN and he should know how to speak to an audience. He just doesn't, and it's weird because he comes from wrestling. Coach has been there was there years and years ago, and he was great in his role, but he just doesn't do these kickoff panels very well. And I thought, now some people have their opinions on Renee Young's commentary. I don't love Renee Young's commentary, but I think she's improved greatly. But obviously her shine, and she really, shows off what she can do when she's interviewing and when she does kickoff panels and stuff like that, like hosting. Renee Young's very good at that. Coach is the opposite of that in my mind. He's not a very good host. He might be a good panelist, but he can't run the ship. He cannot drive the car on the fast lane, if you will. Renee is really good at that. Charlie Caruso does a fantastic job on NXT TakeOver kickoff panels or pre-show panels, whatever they call it in NXT. Why can't Charlie step into this role that was left when, the void that Renee left to go to commentary? Coach is just, I honestly do. I like the kickoff show, and I know a lot of people don't, but I personally enjoy it. I can watch a 2-hour kickoff and not really bat an eye to it, personally. But it has to be done right. I can't watch 2 hours of Coach stumble along in a kickoff panel, personally. But I don't know what your kind of deal on Coach is, but I think because Renee was just really good at it, Coach can't fill that void. But surely, in a global company, someone would see the fact that Coach isn't doing a fantastic job and help him through it, train him to do it better, or replace him. I just think it's, to me, putting someone in that role. And hey, to my point, a lot of people say this about Renee, and I understand it, because I understand that she stumbles on her words and she does this on commentary. And should she be sent away to train better, to make herself a better commentator? Maybe. I personally like her commentary. I think she adds a different flair, but some people don't, and I understand it. It's the same points I'm making about Coach. So there's got to be some kind of a thing here. Is it just in my head that I like Coach? Coach doesn't bother me. It's his attempt at hosting a panel. I just think if you're going to have someone on that screen for an hour, 2 hours, they better be doing a damn good job.
Look, I'll say this. I am a card-carrying member of the I Hate the Pre-Show fan club.
I get it.
it's hard. It's just hard to sit through like 48 minutes of analysis and then maybe a 10 to 12 minute match. I don't really need the analysis part. For the most part, we can get that via Twitter or via our own selves. That said, I always enjoyed Renee when she was on there. I enjoyed Charlie when she does the NXT pre-shows. I hate Coach. I don't like Coach in any role. I didn't even like him on ESPN, to be quite frank. I just don't think he's... Obviously, he was really good when he was back as like the shit heel back in the era of the early mid-2000s. He was good at that. I'll give him that. Since he's come back to WWE, I haven't been impressed by a single thing he's done. You make a good point about him reading off the script, because when he doesn't read off the script, he trips over everything he says.
Yeah.
And it gets him riffed on by usually some of the other panelist members are usually quick to pick up on that and make fun of him for it, which I always appreciate. I think Coach's role is really, and I thought that this was perfect for him on commentary, was that he was just sort of there to get made fun of by Cole and by Graves. I thought that was a great role for him. As far as Renee goes, I would probably rather see Renee on the kickoff show than on commentary. I don't think it's her fault. I don't think she meshes well with the other two guys. I don't think she gets enough time to say what she has to say. I like that sometimes she comes off as a fan rather than a journalist on commentary. I do enjoy that. But I don't think she gets nearly enough time to shine.
See, it's different, obviously. This is how like I've said to you and I've said on this show before, like when I was a kid, I would have loved to be a commentator. That was always, like I've told you and stuff like that. But I think her problem is that she doesn't know how to talk in commentary, especially I would assume in a 3-person booth. You have to talk in sound bites. You're talking in snippets. You're not talking in statements. You're making little snippets here and there to add what Corey said or what Michael said. And obviously Michael Cole is in charge of this. You know, he's driving the car. He's in charge and steering everyone where they need to go. He's play-by-play. And then Corey's your main color commentator, and Renee's just kind of there to add a little bit of a flair. I personally am on the team of majority of the internet of 2-man booths are better, or 2-person booths are better. But nonetheless, it's a 3-person booth. It doesn't really change too much in the fact of our listening experience. It's more so just the commentators having to get in what they need to say. And Renee, on a kickoff panel, has much more room to talk. And she's in charge. She is the host. She's not in charge on here. This is not not what she's used of. But at that same point, she's only been doing commentary for, 6-7 months? You've still got to allow her to adjust. It doesn't happen overnight. She was thrown in to this. I thought she did really, really well on the Mae Young Classic. She did a great job of commentary on the Mae Young Classic, but the Mae Young Classic and live television or pay-per-view is 2 completely different things, I would assume. So, it's... If they want to keep Renee in that role, you have to allow her time to get comfortable in that role. And I honestly do think in the last 6-7 months, she's gotten better. I honestly do. Some people shit all over Renee's commentary. But anyway, we're digressing here. Let's get into the show, because we kicked off the show with The Miz and Shane McMahon looking to reclaim the SmackDown Tag Team Championships from the Usos. Now, Kev, you can take the reins on this match, because I know you really enjoyed their match at Elimination Chamber.
That's right. On this very show, I made the bold, but my feeling at the time, I made the claim that I thought that was the best match on the Elimination Chamber card. So I didn't enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed this one too. Probably not as much as their first clash, but I really enjoyed. There were a couple great spots, including the coast to coast interception.
That was just. That spot was all about timing, and they timed that like, bam, perfectly.
It was perfect. I was out of my seat when that happened. But other than that, there wasn't like too much memorable stuff during the match, but it was fine. Shane gets his licks in. I'm in short bursts. I'm a fan of Shane McMahon's offense. Like he does that DDT, which is all right. The spinning back elbow, I enjoy.
He does.
It's really just his
beautiful Russian leg sweep. He does a beautiful. What Shane? See, here's the thing that I find: Shane McMahon, out of all the McMahons, Vince, Stephanie, Linda, he is very, very trying in the ring, but he knows his lane. He knows that he does big spots. He knows that he does coast to coast, float over DDTs, shooting star presses, horrible punches, Russian leg sweeps, and back elbows. There's 7 things that Shane McMahon does. Outside of that, he doesn't do too much. But he knows what he can do, and he sticks to it. And he keeps up with everybody in the ring. I'll give Shane McMahon that. Shane McMahon keeps up with everybody in the ring, and he obviously understands wrestling. He gets it. He grew up in it. He's a McMahon. It's in his blood. So I will give Shane McMahon that. He keeps up and he sticks to what he knows.
Yeah, he does. And to be fair about the punches, I don't think people are bothered by them as near. I think it's almost become it's his signature. Like he throws a shitty worked punch. I remember when he first came back to the WWE and was getting ready to wrestle Taker, and we were watching him move and stick and jab in the ring and being like, "Oh my god, this is the worst thing ever."
But he's always done that.
Yeah, that's just Shane McMahon.
Yeah,
and I don't care if he can't. I mean, I'm not really bothered by his striking. I think it's kind of funny personally, and I think he does everything else that he needs to do really well. You can tell how gassed he gets in there. By the end of the match, he's sweating buckets.
Oh, he is. He is sweating. That man is sweaty.
I mean, what do you expect? He's past his prime years, and he's still out there just delivering.
And he still looks really good. Like, he's in really good shape for, a 40-whatever-year-old man he is. He's looking really good. But so did Vince. So, I mean, it's probably just in their genetics.
It's in the grapefruits.
Yeah.
It's in the grapefruits. Trying to think if there's anything else that really caught me in this match.
I do know the
Miz
finish.
playing up to the Cleveland crowd was terrific.
Yeah, that was fun. The finish of this match, the Miz's shoulder was up the entire time. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot. Like,
yeah.
If I were to be nitpicky, I notice a lot of the times the shoulders aren't completely down. I just get over it.
Oh,
because I know it doesn't.
That's just I get over it as well. It is what it is. But I was just pointing it out. I was like, Miz's shoulder is very up here. Like, it's very up. Like, Jay or Jimmy, whoever won, his hand was underneath Miz's shoulder and was just kind of like holding it there. And I'm like, oh, shit. But anyway, obviously there's...
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Not the best. I don't think it's that hard to get your shoulders down on the mat for 3 seconds.
But hey, we don't do it. We don't know.
That's true. I'm not trained in the art of professional wrestling, so I really don't know. I know I could lay down for 3 seconds and put my shoulders on the mat, but it's definitely different when you're out there also getting your ass beat too.
Yeah. Obviously, there's some stuff to chat about that happened directly after this match. Now, Miz's dad was also in the crowd, and Miz's dad is slowly becoming my favorite personality on WWE programming. Man, he is a very interesting looking person. He doesn't really change his facial expression, which I love. He's just kind of like this neutral face. And it's funny to me. I just like the Miz's dad. And the fact that they call him Mr. Miz, that just cracks me up. Anyway, obviously what happened after this match. Now, we were expecting a turn. It was coming. However, I could might be just talking out of my ass here, but I was expecting it the other way around. I thought Miz was going to turn on Shane, but Shane turned on Miz. Beat the crap out of him, put him in a triangle choke, pushed his dad down. I actually really enjoyed it because I was expecting it the other way, I think. But even in Cleveland, the Miz's hometown, I think it's just a thing that just happens now in wrestling. When someone turns heel, it's very mixed. He was obviously getting booed, but there was a very big cheer when he hit the Miz. I think people were ready for the heel turn because I just was expecting it the other way. But Shane and Miz is obviously something we've been talking about that's going to happen at Mania for months. I've genuinely thought the story has been really well told. It's a very underappreciated story going on in WWE. It hasn't had any flaws. It's had the perfect build to this moment. And Shane and Miz at Mania sits well with me. What do you think about the turn, and did you think it was going to be the other way around?
No, I was right on in my mind thinking that it was going to be Shane. And I thought that because they were in Cleveland, I figured Miz is going to eat the pin and Miz is going to get his ass beat by Shane after the match. And what I didn't see coming was Shane sort of attacking Miz's dad. That was crazy. And I wanted to just echo a point about Mr. Miz. I love it. To your point about his face not really changing, I love it because they cut to him. So they cut to him a couple times during the match. Like Miz would hit a big spot, like when Miz jumped off the top rope onto the outside and took out the Usos. They cut to Miz's dad, and Miz's dad looked about as plain as you could look. Yeah. He's clapping, sure, but he's just sort of like his face was just sort of like, seen it.
Yeah, I just really appreciated it. Like I was like, hell yeah, Mr. Miz. I just really like Mr. Miz. Do you reckon he's going to be involved in this story, or are we just excited to see something different? But I mean, is he going to be involved in this leading into Mania?
I think we'll see him at Mania. I don't know if we're going to see him that much the next couple of weeks on the road too.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he'll be there, and I'm sure when Miz gets that win over Shane, he'll be coming in the ring to celebrate.
Hell yeah.
It'll be cool. It'll be a cool moment.
But yeah, overall, the match was a good way to start, obviously, in Miz's hometown. The heel turn was cool. I really did enjoy it. I actually probably enjoyed this go-round with the Usos more than I enjoyed the Elimination Chamber one. But I know that's not your opinion. That's mine. But anyway, moving on. We had Kofi Kingston, I believe this was next, waiting out of Vince McMahon's office to go and see the New Day come along and kind of barge in and, telling Vince that they should make this a triple threat and put Kofi in the match. Vince decides that he's going to make it a triple threat and tells Kofi to go to the ring right now. So seemingly we have a triple threat match for the WWE Championship with Kofi Kingston added in. Kofi comes to the ring and then is informed that this is not the triple threat match, that it'll be taking place later tonight, and it's now a handicap match, and in comes the Bar. Now, we DM'd each other a few times during Fastlane. This was one of the times, and we had two different opinions on this, because in my mind, I'll explain my point, and then you can go ahead and do yours in a second. But in my mind, this is perfect. Because Fastlane is not the place to put... If they're going to put a WWE Championship on Kofi Kingston, Fastlane is not the place to do it. It's not. You have to build to Mania. Him getting his ass kicked for this entire match and losing in a handicap match just makes us want to see Kofi Kingston win even more. We'll talk about the triple threat later, but obviously there was some Kofi chants throughout that match. I understand that, this is it's a very common path to take with building someone, but you do got to gain sympathy and make him the most over you can make him for WrestleMania. Because I think it's pretty certain that we're going to get Kofi involved in the WWE Championship picture at Mania. Whether it's one-on-one, whether it's some kind of multi-deal match, Kofi's going to be in that spot. And we want the biggest face we can get. People always complain that WWE don't have credible faces and they only really build their heels. Well, this is them trying to build their faces. A baby face is built on sympathy and admiration and respect. And Kofi, to me, is that perfect... He's the perfect egg to do that on. So I really... The match was what it was. It was just 5-6 minutes of them beating up Kofi Kingston, really. One thing about this pay-per-view is they had a lot of filler. There was a lot of in-between segments. There was a lot of that. But, yeah, Kofi got beat up. The New Day come out. Shinsuke and Rusev, I believe, come down and beat the crap out of the New Day. And then the bar go over. It just, to me, it adds to Kofi's sympathy. But I know you had a different point of view, so shoot me with that one.
Okay, so I see your point. I get that. I get what they're trying to do. I get that they want to make Kofi a more sympathetic character. I just think that there was I just thought it was like overly complicated what they did.
Yeah.
You call Kofi in, you tell him he's in a match, you send him out there. From the minute they sent him out there right now, you knew something was up because no way the WWE title match was going to be that early in the show. So people already know the gig is up. You send him out there, and then you just walk him into to a 2-on-1 handicap. I just think it would have been just as easy, and people you still would have got people chanting for Kofi, which I think is weird because you almost purposely had the fans hijack your WWE title match because they wanted Kofi so bad. I don't even think they should have. I think that they just should have left him off the show. People would have still chanted. You still would have got the same end result. Or just short and sweet, call Kofi into the office, tell him he's not in the triple threat. Tell him he's not in the match. That's going to get people mad. That's going to get people chanting his name. That's going to build sympathy for him. I thought that it was a very on-pay-per-view worthy segment to have him just go out there and fill time for a couple minutes. I think that's not what he's about. I don't even think this really did any favors for the bar because Kofi looked like at one point, like he looked like he was holding his own. So I'm not sure if this did really any favors for the bar either. It makes them just sort of hired henchmen, which is what all heel tag teams essentially aspire to be, I guess. So, they're heel henchmen. But I don't know. I thought this was like sort of overdone.
Yeah, I understand. It's maybe a little overbooked. But I guess we can agree to disagree in a way, but I definitely understand. Yeah. It's it regardless, I guess it worked. I guess. But I mean there was other ways that they definitely could have done it. Anyway, moving on from that. We had, I don't know where the Elias 3 segments were at the show. I don't know whether it was here or whether it was before that Kofi segment. But Elias sung a song about Kofi in the first one. And he didn't get interrupted in his first one. So that's kind of neat for Elias, I guess. And honestly, so Elias went from heel to face to heel, but now he's getting cheered again. So
yeah, I mean, it sucks because he's so good at being a heel, but he's never gonna. But he's like, he'll get his boos for when he makes fun of whatever town he's in, but people still want to cheer him.
Yeah,
and that's not gonna change.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, anyway, that was the first of the 3 Elias segments. What did we have next? What was the next match? I've completely blanked.
I believe it was Mandy Rose and Asuka.
Oh, yes. Was that before the Kofi stuff?
I have no clue.
Either either.
I'll be honest with you. I am really bad at remembering match orders, and especially on pay-per-views that like aren't top tier pay-per-views. So
yeah,
I
should have wrote it down, but I know it was Mandy Rose and Asuka definitely happened. Now, I'm gonna. Sorry if you want to take the reins on this one, but I'm gonna steer the ship on this one because you know my love for Mandy.
It's your child.
Okay, so now, with the exception of Lacey Evans, I love my Mandy Rose. She's just wowza to me. Anyway, now there's been some skeptics of Mandy Rose's wrestling ability. I guess it was what people have a problem with, and the fact that she's hot. She is what maybe the diva era of wrestling would expect. Now, I don't think Mandy Rose is the greatest wrestler ever. She's not. But I think she can hold up and she can hold her own and she can do what she can do. And I don't think she's at all a bad wrestler. However, in this match with Asuka, Mandy Rose didn't do a lot great. And I'll be the first one to eat my own words on that one. Mandy Rose did not impress me in this match, especially with a talent like Asuka, who does not have bad matches. Asuka does not have bad matches. This wasn't a bad match. I just think some things that Mandy did were a little subpar. She went for a military press slam that did not work. Some of Mandy Rose's selling, in my opinion, is a little off. However, she does a great bicycle knee. She can take a beating when it's needed. This match wasn't all that long. Now, personally, I would have loved to see Mandy Rose win, just so people would whinge. But, we DM'd each other during this match, I wasn't going to hold my breath. I honestly didn't think Mandy Rose was actually going to win. The finish of this match was interesting, I guess is the word. So Sonya Deville... can I just mention something that happened on the kickoff? EC3 is no longer a mute. He can talk. And he tried to hit on Mandy Rose, but then Sonya Deville basically told him to piss off. It was weird. Anyway, Sonya Deville, she got a kendo stick out from underneath the apron. The apron was left on the ring. Mandy Rose went to run, and she slipped on the ring mat apron thingo, and then Asuka kicked her in the face. And I mean, she kicked her in the face. She checked Mandy Rose. It connected. Yeah. She got her. I don't know how to feel about that finish. It was really odd. In execution, I didn't even think... Honestly, in theory, it wasn't a great idea. It was a really odd finish to a wrestling match, in my opinion. But the execution wasn't fantastic either.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about really any of this. I want... The match length, it was too short. I know people don't want to see Mandy Rose wrestle too long, but I don't feel that way about her. I don't have a problem with her in the ring. I think she's doing fine for herself. She does hit a wicked pump knee. Yeah. I love that knee.
Yeah, she does that well.
She's strong. Obviously, she did botch that military press, but she could do, feats of strength pretty well.
She can.
And then to have, so it's talent. That's talent on both. Obviously, Asuka's talented. That's talent on both sides. And you just don't give them any chance. You don't give them time to shine. You put them in, and that finish was an unwinnable situation for either of them because it was gonna look stupid that Mandy slipped, fell, and walked into a foot. It's also gonna look bad that I realized how that sounded as it came out of my mouth.
No, but and then honestly, sometimes with wrestling. People are always like, oh, wrestling's going to be different, and you got to do different things. But sometimes doing stuff that works. Why wouldn't you have Sonya get up on the apron, go to distract Asuka or the referee or something, and it inadvertently distracts Mandy. Or you gotta have Sonya come in and try to hit Asuka, but she accidentally gets Mandy. It's Wrestling 101, and that stuff to me works, and you don't need to change that up, in my opinion. Sometimes when wrestling's the same as it's been for the last 30 years, just go with it. We know, and it worked. It wouldn't come across so corny. It come across very corny. They were clearly trying to get that same, that same finish in a very weird way, if you get me. But nonetheless, Asuka went over. She checked Mandy in the face. The SmackDown Women's title has fallen so much because they don't invest any time into this. This was literally just a match to get Asuka and Mandy on the card. It looks like they're maybe going with Splitsville for Sonya and Mandy, which is odd.
I don't think it's the right time. You just had these tag titles introduced into the division. Sonya and Mandy were the last team to lose in the Elimination Chamber. They were the last team left before the Boston Hug Connection won the match. Where's their title shot? Why did they get jumped? And they're getting a jump. The Iconics are next in line, it seems, which I know you love, and I also love the Iconics. And I'm in for that match. But it does feel like they got skipped somewhere, Sonya and Mandy. Yeah. I don't think it's right for them to split up yet. I think they could do some more stuff as a tag team. Also, just a quick point. What does it say about Asuka that she needed a fluke like that to win?
Yeah, so you look at Asuka's run as, 500 days or whatever it was as NXT champion. Maybe not that long, but either. She was a dominant champion. She didn't win by flukes, or she won because she kicked people in the face or she made them tap. To me, they have not booked Asuka as a dominant champion. She's just been, I hate saying this, but she's almost in the phase of being a transitional champion. She is there to hold the championship until they wanted to give it to someone else, which is just, I don't like saying that, because even though I'm not personally a huge Asuka fan, Asuka's incredible. I've said this many times. Asuka can get in the ring and bring anybody else up. She does that. But the SmackDown, here's another thing that's kind of grinding my gears a little bit. Why is it that it seems that every match at Mania this year is building to be a multi-person match? It seems like they can't book straightforward one-on-one stories anymore, because the one story they have going that's one-on-one right now, they're not booking it very well because Rollins is busy with the Shield. Hopefully, obviously that's going to change. Yeah.
But Lesnar doesn't show up half the time. They're not building a one-on-one show, and then everything else, it seems like they're just doing multi-man because it's easier to get on the card that way.
You know what I don't like about... You know what? I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but okay, yes, I understand that they want to give everyone the WrestleMania experience, and they want to do that. But I'm not in the vein of everybody needs to be on the card. You should earn that spot on a WrestleMania card.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's what they have the Battle Royals for on the kickoff. Is for the people that aren't in a story, that aren't in these spectacles at WrestleMania, that's what their spot is. You want to get everyone on the card? Chuck them in the Battle Royal. If you don't like that, work harder for next year. That's my opinion.
I agree.
And it looks like they're building... We'll talk about all these as we're going along, but it looks like they're building multi-team matches for the... all three tag team championships are probably going to be multi-team matches. The SmackDown Women's title is... We don't know, but it could easily that they're building to a triple threat with Mandy, Sonya, and Asuka. That could be a thing that they're doing. And I have that in the back of my head as that may be something that they're looking at doing. You got the triple threat match, which we'll talk about with the Raw Women's title. You've got the WWE Championship match could easily be a 4-way. It could easily be a triple threat. It's not solid that it's going to be a one-on-one contest. The
I don't think it will.
the US title, who knows? The Intercontinental title, who the fuck knows what's going on with that? And then everything else that you add into the equations of WrestleMania. For one, I don't mind obviously you have a couple of multi-person matches. That's just a part of the game. You're probably going to have, 60 matches on the WrestleMania card. So you need to break up some one-on-one matches. I get that. But, man, you can't have... It's not WrestleMania 2000. If you look at WrestleMania 2000, every one of those matches was a multi-person match. And all bar the Triangle Ladder match, they all sucked. The matches weren't good on that show. It's known as one of the... not the greatest WrestleMania matches out. WrestleMania events out there. It's just... Like I said, I love a good fatal four-way or a good triple threat, but not every single match needs to be... You have to have your straight-up one-on-one matches. However, moving on, because, we're only like the third match in, and we could rant about that for a long time, I'm sure. Well, I know I could. So, what was next on the card? What was match number 4? Was it the Raw Tag Team Championships? Maybe?
I'm literally like looking it up now. I think it was the Raw Tag Team titles. I am fairly certain.
Yeah, I think it was. That's how interested.
That doesn't say good things about this pay-per-view that you can't just remember stuff like that, you know?
The pay-per-view, honestly though, we'll talk about our overall reactions at the end, but actually, it wasn't bad. It's just,
It wasn't bad.
We're
it was
just ready. We just want to get to main. Trust me, Kevin and I will be not like this, our WrestleMania recap show, because we'll be very much...
No, when we get to WrestleMania, I'll be able to tell you all like 14 matches in a row, who won.
I could probably tell you the time.
Picture was the time.
Anyway.
What color boots they're wearing. Fastlane doesn't do it for me.
No.
Is the point.
I think it was the Raw Tag Team Championship match.
It was. I've got it pulled up here now, and it was, in fact, the Raw Tag Team titles.
So we had Aleister Black and Ricochet, we had The Revival, and we had Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. Now, to be honest, this match was pretty damn good. It was a pretty damn good match, and I was expecting it to be good because look at the 6 people that are in it. I've always stated, tag team wrestling, not my thing, but when it's done well, it's done brilliantly, and this was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I liked a lot of what this match had to offer. Like you said, you look at the 6 names in there, Aleister Black, Ricochet, Dash and Dawson, Roode and Gable, 6 really talented individuals, and 3 really talented tag teams. I think the right team won. I don't really see much of a future for Black and Ricochet as a tag team because I think they're both single stars. And it just doesn't feel right to put the belts on Roode and Gable. So I'm glad that the Revival got a big win. That's a big win over some talented competitors. And we haven't seen them win like shit. We haven't seen them win since they won the tag titles. They've lost, I think, every match they've had on Raw since then. Which is wild, but you know what? That's fine. They're rebuilding the Raw Tag Team division, and matches like this are going to go a long way into getting eyes back on the division, because for a while there, it was dead in the water. It was absolute dead weight. Dragged every show down. No one cared about it. I didn't care about it, but I cared about this match. I care about these 3 teams, and I care about the future of the Raw Tag Team division. I think it's in good hands and good shape going forward.
Yeah. Honestly, couldn't have said it any better myself. The match was fun. It did what it needed to do. I got to see a shadow machine. I was happy with this match. There's not really too much we can really say on that one.
No, I just want to point out Ricochet's dive over the ring post to the outside, unreal.
Yeah, he can do some just wonderful things.
Unreal.
Just
even Chad Gable stopped what he was doing to watch, because he was coming into the ring to come off the top rope, and he even just stopped and watched Ricochet. He was in awe. I was in awe.
He's just he can do things that I've never seen people do. At least in a wrestling ring. He's very innovative. Very cool. Very cool to watch. I don't think you could hate Ricochet.
No.
There's no way you could, because he's just really cool. Really, really, really cool. Before we move on to the next match, let's take a little listen to some of our friends, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
So what happened after the Attitude Era?
That's right. I.O. WCW.
When the war was over and the dust settled, what really happened?
Hey, come on, Kane, honestly, who can blame her? Look at you. Who could realistically love a burnt-up freak like you?
What do we make of this time period?
Wasn't my fault. Did I just hear myself say 3 minutes?
Only two guys will have the answers.
I want that golden thong. And I was like,
if I want to be a tattooed, fire-breathing dragon, then that's all right by you.
And it all culminates to this: the granddaddy of them all.
Ruthless aggression.
Make sure to tune into the Ruthless Aggression podcast, starring me, myself, Levi, and my good buddy Kyle. Find us on anchor.fm/ruthlesspod and anywhere you can find your podcast.
We're still driving this car here on Fastlane. Kevin, what was up next? Was there another Elias segment from memory? Was that later?
There may have been. There may not have been.
I know there was.
I'm pretty. There were 3. I think 2 had already happened at this point.
Okay,
because there was one with the Miz and there was one with Kofi.
So, all right. At some point in this little area that we talked about, Elias did another song and he shat on Kofi Kingston, basically.
Par for the course.
Yeah. So what was up next?
Up next, we had what was originally supposed to be a one-on-one match on the pre-show between Andrade and Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
Turned into a fatal 4-way match for the United States title between those two, Andrade and Mysterio, R-Truth, and obviously the champion Samoa Joe.
And
this was
probably, personally, I like this match the most. I really enjoyed this fatal 4-way. That is the that to me is, they didn't need a hell of a lot of time. I don't think this match went too much over 10 minutes.
Just about 10.
They got their shit in, and they enjoyed it. That was spotty. Sometimes fatal 4-way matches are just intended to be spot after spot after spot after spot. That was what it was. These were the perfect 4 guys to... It's funny when you give enough time. You don't need a hell of a lot, but just enough time to go out there and say, hey, put on a decent match. And obviously these 4 guys all know how to work. There's a lot of years in the business between all 4 of those dudes. Zelina and Carmella did their bit on the outside. I really enjoyed this fatal 4-way.
Yeah, the mark of a good fatal 4-way is that all four participants get a chance to shine, and that is certainly what we saw.
Yeah.
Obviously Rey and Andrade got their spots in with each other. The diving Hurricane Rana to the outside that Rey does on Andrade, every time it gets me, it's so beautifully done. As is the springboard one off the ropes. Just Rey could do a lot of cool shit. And Andrade is really good as well. And R-Truth got his spots in too, and maybe not as many, but he's there to do what he's there to do a job, basically.
And R-Truth is criminally underrated in the ring. R-Truth can hold his own. He's obviously a comedy dude. That's his shine, that's his shtick. But R-Truth can keep up with a lot of the guys. I always have said that about R-Truth. R-Truth is someone that you can just keep up. And obviously, Rey Mysterio is someone that doesn't age. and he looks incredible. He still does crap that he did when he was in WCW 20 years ago. Andrade is very, 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 very good. There's no really other way to describe Andrade. He is just really, really, really good in the ring. And obviously Joe. Joe's Joe, and Joe's just a natural killer in the ring. And just really a really fun match. It just was really fun.
It was. That's what it was. That's what it was meant to be. A late addition to the card. Obviously, there wasn't going to be too much to it because they probably wrote it on the fly. But everyone got their licks in. Samoa Joe looked strong. He tapped out Rey Mysterio. He wins the belt. And the most important thing that comes out of this is, like, it's making me care about the United States title again. Yeah. Like, Raw had their problem with the Raw tag team titles. SmackDown had their issues with the U.S. title. Yeah. But Samoa Joe is making me care.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. If they do more stuff like this, it'll certainly come to fruition. This, honestly, I'm not even joking when I say this, that Fatal 4-Way could be the match at Mania. I know there's rumors of John Cena and whatever, but I don't necessarily think that Cena's going to fight Joe. But that's just my opinion. I could see this Fatal 4-Way going into Mania. But hey, that's just my opinion. Moving along, what was next, Kevin? Was it the women's tag team titles?
So let's fire up the old Wikipedia here and take a look. And it was.
See? I was right.
Yes, the Boston Hug Connection taking on Nia Jax and Tamina in the very first ever defense of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Yes.
Now, when you start a championship, there's obviously going to be somewhat of a transitional time to get it off its feet. Honestly, I do think this was probably the right two teams to go at it first. It just gets this out of the way, it builds up to other things, and it gives Sasha and Bayley a win to you got to try and build prestige for a championship, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And, no pun intended, but there's no real bigger challenge than Nia and Tamina for the Boston Hug Connection. So, I mean, the match was There was a few blown spots.
Yeah.
One in particular was a pop-up double team Samoan drop that did not work. There was not a lot of throw by Tamina. I think Sasha didn't really jump very high. Honestly, the only person I don't think was at fault was Nia, but everyone blamed it on Nia Jax, which people do a lot. I don't think that
wasn't Nia's fault.
That was Nia just trying to... It was, if anyone's fault, it was Tamina and Sasha's. They did not get a lot of air. Sasha probably should have jumped higher. Tamina probably should have thrown a little harder, maybe. But, I don't know. But if anyone, in my opinion, that was not Nia Jax's fault. But everyone blamed it on her. Don't worry. Everybody blamed it on Nia, which isn't fair.
That's what we do.
It isn't fair,
That's what we do. We blame
I understand Nia's had her... Alright, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna defend Nia Jax. Because...
Order.
Nia Jax has had her carelessness in the ring. I understand that. The punch to Becky was a little careless. The throw to Bayley was a little careless. The issue she had with Charlotte when she nearly dropped her on her head was a little careless. I understand that. But Nia Jax can wrestle better than any of these people on the internet saying that. Nia Jax is obviously trained, and it's not like she's intentionally going out with the intention of, I'm going to hurt this person, I'm going to throw them on their head, I'm going to do this. There's been some accidents, and every single person that signs on the dotted lines of that WWE contract knows that their neck can be broken, knows that their shoulder can be dislocated, their nose can be broken, their leg can snap. It is a part of the business, and okay, Nia has had her fair share of... She's hurt a few people. However, takes two to tango, and in any of those situations, we will never know exactly who is incredibly at fault. It could have been the way someone landed, could have been some person stepped left when they were told to step right. It is a thing. And, for example, the injury scare that happened with Mandy Rose and Asuka earlier this week at a live event, no one knew any details. There was a picture of Asuka holding her neck, and everyone got on Mandy Rose. Mandy's a terrible wrestler. Mandy can't do this. Mandy can't do that. I had an interaction with someone on Twitter where someone was just blaming Mandy. I quoted a tweet that had a video of it, and I said, is it really Mandy's fault? Because to me, it just looks like their wires got crossed, and Asuka did something that she shouldn't have done. I'm not saying it was Asuka's fault or Mandy's fault. It was just it was an accident, and that happens. It is the same thing when everyone gets on Nia Jax. I have always stated, anyone can go back and listen to my old episodes. Never once have I said Nia was a bad wrestler. Not once. I always said that accidents happen, and I had my opinion that maybe Nia had been a little careless at some stages. But at no point did I say Nia went out with the intention to hurt anybody. And that really grinds my gears on... That's the one time where I get really tempted just to reply to every tweet I see. It's the only time is when people are like, they hurt this person, they did this. No. It's wrestling. There's always two in a situation, and they know what they're getting themselves. They are trained to understand that they could be dropped on their head at any point. And to me, when people are always constantly on every single thing that Nia does, because she's had her issues in the past, is under a microscope. Any spot that goes wrong, regardless of who is at fault, it's Nia Jax's fault. And to get back to this match, in this instance, that was not Nia Jax's fault.
No, that last night absolutely wasn't her fault. It looked like and you know what? This is a novel concept, but sometimes it's not just sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it's not anybody's fault.
It's human bodies. They're going to sometimes just do what they do. Like, we can go to jump and we can't get as high as we thought we were going to go.
Yeah, accidents happen. The blame game is just one that everyone likes to play, and everyone likes to tailor their blame to whatever fits their narrative, their preconceived notion of how wrestlers are. With Nia and Mandy, both very much victims of that. Like, it must have been their fault because they're bad wrestlers. They're not bad wrestlers because, you know what? If they were bad wrestlers, they wouldn't be in the WWE.
Yeah, and Brie Bella, the perfect example of getting absolutely criticized when that Liv Morgan spot happened. But if you actually look at that, that is a simple accident. When one person was meant to be here, one person was meant to be here, and Liv went right when she should have went left, or Brie went... That was... I hate it when people are like, Brie Bella can't wrestle. If Brie Bella couldn't wrestle, she wouldn't be wrestling for the last 12 years. That's not... To be honest, Brie Bella got better than Nikki at some stages, in my humble opinion, but whatever. That was just... If Kevin, you were a pro wrestler, and you had someone like me on the internet telling me you couldn't wrestle when you'd been training to do this for 5, 6, 7 years because you accidentally kicked someone in the head and they got a concussion. I just think if I was telling you that, you would get mad pissed at me. You would get mad pissed at anybody saying, blah, 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 blah. Like, Nia Jax, I wouldn't like to be Nia Jax. She would get tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet of people who don't know what they're doing in a ring telling her what she can and can't do in a ring. She knows a lot more than you and I or anyone on the internet.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, that shit bothers people too. Like, it's so hard to be constantly criticized. It weighs on you. It takes a toll. Tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. Like that I don't care if you're a professional wrestler, a professional bodybuilder, a professional whatever. People tell you you're bad at your job. It's gonna hurt. Yeah. And no one deserves that.
No. Anyway, back to the match. The match was whatever. It was okay.
It wasn't very good.
There was a lot of just blown spots, honestly.
It seemed like they weren't. Yeah, it seemed like it's just one of those nights. It happens. People have bad matches. It seemed like they just weren't on the same page with one another as they could have been.
Yeah, honestly. All we got to was the noteworthy thing was that Tamina and Nia had a little interaction with one Beth Phoenix. And
yes.
Natalia come down to aid her best friend. And she ended up getting beat up by Tamina and Nia. Now, we talked about multi-person matches before. In my opinion, WrestleMania is probably going to be a 4-way women's tag team title match. Boss and Hug, Nia and Tamina, Beth and Natty, and probably like the Iconics.
I bet you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, I would like the Iconics in it, obviously, for obvious reasons. But they seem to be positioning themselves in that kind of spot, regardless of what I think about them personally. They seem to be kind of steering the Iconics towards a tag team title match. But hey, I could be wrong, but I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, you're right. They're getting promo time. They're getting kickoff air time. They were they were absolutely brilliant on the kickoff show last night.
I don't like when people say they can't cut promos. It's just because they can't deal with their accent. I am used to that. Obviously, I hear not Billy's. Billy's is very thick. I'm used to hearing that talk every single day from every person that I talk to. So I can obviously, some people, I actually had a tweet directed at me yesterday saying they don't understand what Billy Kay is saying. And I was like, well, I can. That's Straya. That's Straya talk. She's very, it's very like, west suburb of Sydney. That's like very much, that's how people in the west of Sydney talk, like that. So yeah, I had someone tweet at me and saying, I don't know what Billy Kay is saying. And I'm like, oh wow, I didn't think it was. But anyway, I digress. I think the 4-way is where we're going. I'm fine with Beth Phoenix wrestling because Beth is really, really good.
I mean, it's been but I'd love to see the Divas and Doom back together. They were so good back in.
Sorry, guys, we had a little brief audio issue there with Kevin and my connection. Good old Skype working well for us. But where we were kind of at was just Beth and Natty. They were cool together. It'll be cool to probably see them at Mania. The interactions between Nia and Beth will be really cool to see. But I don't know exactly where our audio stuffed up there, so I don't know what was recorded and what wasn't. But just briefly, Kev, you said before it stuffed up that you were excited about the fact that Beth and Natty were kind of getting back on the same page and doing something.
Yeah, definitely. They did a really good work together back in like the turn of the decade, 2009, 2010, around that time maybe. They're fun to watch together, and their interactions with Nia and Tamina, the power the absolute power in that quartet of women is it's just unpredictable. You don't know what they can do.
Yeah. Anyway, moving along. What was next on the card?
It had to have been the it was the WWE title match.
Was it? How?
According to Wikipedia, it was.
It actually was. We're already there. So we got a triple threat match. Vince McMahon was not lying. Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, and then Mustafa Ali's music hit. Now, I will back up my statement before that the Kofi stuff was fine, and I was fine with them keeping it a triple threat. I honestly thought that someone else would be in it. However, now, no disrespect to Mustafa Ali. He's great in the ring. But he was in a pretty tough spot. You want to get Mustafa over, but you had to have known that whoever was in that spot, the fans weren't going to be too incredibly happy. Because they want Kofi. We all want Kofi. I want Kofi as well. But I see the bigger picture, and I think it's bigger at Mania. However, putting Mustafa in that spot was not... It puts him in a really awkward place. Because he's not necessarily going to get booed, but he's certainly not going to get cheered. At least at the beginning. There was lots of "We want Kofi" chants. And before we get into the match, something that I did want to bring up with you is that my brother actually brought this up to me. But how weird is it? So 5 years ago, Daniel Bryan was in that spot of Kofi. We all wanted Bryan. No matter what match was taking place, there was "We want Bryan" or Daniel Bryan chants or "Yes" chants. How weird is it now that Daniel Bryan's on the other side of that? Kofi Kingston is now in that spot where they want Kofi and they want this and this and that. It is really, really odd to see it as Bryan was in that spot 5 years ago.
It is weird. And to think about what Kofi was, I don't even think Kofi was on the card at WrestleMania 30. Maybe in the Battle Royal. So it's funny to think about how far we've come. That nowadays Daniel Bryan's the champ. Kofi's the one we want, though. Kofi's the one we're chasing. It's a reversal of roles for Daniel Bryan, and he's played both sides of the coin so well. He was such a great, lovable underdog, but he's just as good as the conniving heel with Rowan by his side and shits on everybody. He's the Planet's champion. He threw away the WWE title belt. He's been terrific at both ends of the spectrum, heel face spectrum. And Kofi is on an absolute tear right now, to the point where we're calling for him in every single match. If it's not his spot, we want it to be his spot. Yeah. We want Kofi to be in the match. We want Kofi to be involved.
It is, to be honest, this match was actually really good. They did some cool spots. The finish was awesome. All played their roles very well. There was a few times where they wanted Kofi, but for the most part, I think they controlled it pretty well.
Yeah.
The ending I loved, the Rowan interactions and that, then the little spot that Bryan and Ali had was really cool. It was almost like a kind of omen to maybe what was going to go on at the Chamber, if it was going to be down to Mustafa and Bryan, if Mustafa wasn't injured. It was only short, but that ending, that knee in midair from the crossbody was more bien. That was real good.
Yeah, it was. And the whole match, I thought this match was really good. I'll give them a lot of credit because that crowd wanted Kofi. That crowd wanted Kofi bad, and they shut them up. Yeah, that's so hard to do in today's WWE.
Yep,
where fans have got their minds made up no matter what. So kudos to all three men for really controlling the crowd and getting them to come back to the match after an inauspicious start.
Yeah. I agree with you. They really did. That's how you can control the crowd, and those apron spots and all those cross bodies and moonsaults and whatever the hell was going on. Just really, really cool match. Where this leads to, obviously Kofi's going to be involved, but who knows? I honestly hope that it's Kofi and Bryan one-on-one at Mania, but I could easily see it being 3-way, a 4-way. You never know.
I think Owens will be involved in the match because he didn't get pinned here.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think you might see Mustafa Ali. I don't know though, like where his claim would be considering he just got pinned. So we'll see.
Yeah. It was a fun match though. But moving right along, we had the final Elias segment. Now, we'll talk about this one because he sings a song, and then he goes on about how he hasn't been interrupted. And then, someone's music hits. Who was it? Oh, yeah. It was Lacey Evans. Of course, I'm going to talk about Lacey Evans on this dang thing. She comes out. Now, everyone knows how much I love Lacey if you just look at my Twitter. However, Sassy Southern Belle? Oh, I'm not feeling that nickname.
Yeah, that feels forced.
The Sassy Southern Belle. It seems like they're leaning out of Lacey's original gimmick slightly. Her gimmick in NXT was that she was a lady and stuff like that. But she also, in my eyes, she played on the fact that she was a former Marine. But
she had a military background, yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that here. I just see her more of a lady, if you know what I mean. Like, but the Sassy Southern Belle, a little rough. But anyway, I will let it slide, I guess. But she come out, and then Randy Orton hit an RKO on Elias, which then led into AJ Styles hitting a phenomenal forearm on Randy Orton. So obviously we're gearing up for that for Mania, and I just want to say that I hope nobody is sleeping on AJ Styles and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, because that will be very, very good.
It will be. That's going to be that's a dream match right there.
Yeah.
Two stalwarts of wrestling for the last 15 years, finally doing battle. We really I don't think we've really seen it.
I think
maybe
once
on
once on a SmackDown, but from that little snippet we got of it, it's going to be real good.
And it's going to be good. I'm not sleeping on it. From the minute I saw Styles on the apron hopping up to hit the phenomenal forearm, I knew what we were getting, and I was all in for it.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really, really cool. But anyway, let's move into the next match. The match that I thought was going to main event, however, I'm glad that it didn't once it was over. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. If Becky Lynch got the win in this one, she's going to WrestleMania. It'd be a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship with 2 SmackDown people in it. But this match was designed just to be work Becky's leg for 10 minutes, basically. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. This match's intention wasn't to go and steal the show. It was to tell a story and to get us to the next step. Now, a lot of people have been very critical of this story, how it's played out. Granted, WWE did have a pretty simple story to tell, and maybe in some areas they've made it a little bit too complex. But we have both stated that we're ones just to kind of go along for the ride. And for what it was, I've enjoyed this story. It's getting us to where we need to go. Yes, there's a lot of twists and turns, but there's also a lot of time in between the Rumble and WrestleMania. If you just did the standard story, we'd probably be over it by now. At least we know, well, in my opinion, the next 4 weeks leading to WrestleMania can now be the standard story.
yeah, now we finally got it. We finally know what the match is going to be. We know it's going to be a triple threat. Ronda Rousey made sure of that because she caused a disqualification, got Becky DQ'd, so she would be added to the match. It was the expected way to do it. However, the way it played out, where it was just like she just landed one punch and then watched, I thought was really awkward. I would have assumed she would have beaten the hell out of both of them, and they would have said either Becky won because she got hit first, or they would have called it a double DQ, and by result, Becky gets added to the match. I think the way they did it was a little awkward, but the idea was there.
Yeah.
They kind of put Ronda in a tough spot because now if she's going to be the bad guy in all of this, you think she wouldn't want to like toughen the odds against herself. I get the original story that she really wanted to fight Becky. I don't think they should have turned her yet. Personally, because now you create a situation where she's literally helping out her worst enemy get into the match and also stacking the deck against herself on purpose, which doesn't seem very heelish.
Well, to me, I think she's an unconventional heel. She's almost anti-wrestling. She
is anti-wrestling.
Well, she is anti-wrestling. But they're just people that are playing right into that because it's a worked shoot, if you will.
Yeah.
We know Ronda's opinion on wrestling. She stated it many times. She loves pro wrestling. She grew up watching pro wrestling. And to the people that are like, oh my god, she's breaking kayfabe, and she's doing this, she's doing that. Do you all not watch wrestling for the last 15 years? We know what wrestling is. You and I know what wrestling is. It's a scripted show. It isn't quote unquote real. I don't think wrestling is per se fake. I wouldn't use that word to describe wrestling. However, it's predetermined. We know it is an act. We know Becky Lynch hasn't really got a bung knee. We know this, we know that. But what Ronda is doing is just playing into the fact that people are too afraid to say that. I understand. I don't want to disrespect this industry. I love it. But what they're doing with Ronda is just trying to get all the heat on the world with her because it is really hard to cheer for someone that shits all over the industry. But, like, to the people that are, like, doing that, isn't that just you're being worked by WWE? And that would be all those people that are getting worked to be the first ones to admit, oh, I never get worked by WWE, I know everything. I get worked by WWE all the time. Kofi Kingston is the perfect example of that. He made us believe. They're working us. They're making us believe in someone, and then it gets cut right under our feet. That is the definition of, or not the definition, but that is a pure example of a work. Ronda Rousey is doing that, in my opinion. I understand where people are coming from, and maybe if there's a line to be crossed, she's obviously stepped over it, but kayfabe has not been a thing for a long time. We all know what it is. But what my opinion is that because she's anti-wrestling and she's saying, she can just beat the crap out of Charlotte and Becky if she really wanted to, the odds kind of stacking against her is just kind of, in my mind, I see it as Ronda is doing this because she knows she can legitimately beat both of them. She's better. She thinks she is better than pro wrestling. That's what they're that's my opinion of where this is. Ronda Rousey is bigger than WWE. She's better than wrestling. She's a real fighter. But here's the double-edged sword with that. You're going on about saying, like, oh, Becky's disarmor is fake, and it's not real, and wrestling is scripted, and it's not real. That's going to make you look like crap when you tap out at WrestleMania to the disarmor. In my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's
I definitely see your point.
Yeah. But anyway, this got us to where we needed to go. We're going to WrestleMania. We knew we were going to get there. I could honestly expect, as much as I don't want this to happen, I could honestly expect Vince coming out on Raw today and being like, Becky, you got a DQ victory. You're not going to WrestleMania. But I just pray that that's not the case. I just hope we can please let's do promos, brawls, and just let's build this triple threat match the way it should be built now, and let's just go with it, and let's put on a really incredible triple threat main event, quote unquote, last match on the card at WrestleMania. Let's just do that now. No more silliness. Let's get away from this Becky Lynch knee injury crap. That's the one gripe I've had with this story, is that they've drawn out that injury way too long. And I really hope they kind of steer past that going into WrestleMania. But all in all, I'm on the ride. We're getting to the triple threat. Everyone's getting what they want. Let's just go with it. Let's just stop complaining.
Yeah, you get me pumped up because that's what we're gonna get now.
Yeah,
but this is it. This is the road. We are on the road here. There's no more stops. It's all pedal to the metal action here, and I have a feeling we're gonna get some really good developments in this story.
Yeah,
because overall this has been a good story.
Yeah,
there have been problems with it, but that you don't get the perfect story all too often.
No, you don't.
So,
but it is what it is. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. We're getting towards WrestleMania. We're getting what we want. So just take it for that, people, please. Moving into the main event, we had The Shield versus Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre. A match that I didn't think was going to go on last, but after seeing Becky and Charlotte, there really wasn't anything else. Maybe the WWE Championship match, but if it really was one last ride for the Shield, it was a cool way to do it. It was a fun match. Got Roman back on television. But I don't think Dean's leaving. They're saying it too much to me that he's leaving. So it's almost like he's not leaving. But they could just be writing this out and trying to milk everything they can out of Ambrose while he's still there. We don't know that. But overall, there's not really much to say about this match other than that it was a good 6-man tag match.
Yeah, it was very good. One of the Shield's better tag matches I think of. Had callback to some classics like Seth coming out of the crowd. Yeah. Great spot. Power bombs. It had chaos. It had disorder. It had the referee forgetting to do his job on multiple occasions. You would have figured at some point he would have started counting, and maybe all that out of the ring stuff would have been neutralized. But obviously, we're not here to watch a count out. We're here to watch a wrestling match, and we're here to watch one of the greatest factions of the last 20 years go at it one more time. And I'm going to be honest with you, this felt really final to me. I think Dean is leaving. I wasn't sure. I was thinking just like you. I thought they were bringing it up too much. But this felt really, really final to me.
Well, hold that thought, because breaking news, WWE have posted that The Shield will hold their farewell address to kick off Raw.
Well, throw out what I just said.
Because that probably means that Dean Ambrose is going to hit a dirty deeds on Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Just completely take what I just said and just toss it out the window because they don't know how to let a good thing go.
Unless something else happens, unless it is just a farewell address for the Shield, I don't see that as a thing. Typically, Raws after pay-per-views is a little bit of not a reset, but they certainly gear up everything. Every Raw after a pay-per-view is always a decent show. I'm sure this one will be no different. They're in Pittsburgh, I believe.
Yes.
So, listen, Dean's probably going to do something because Roman needs something to do at WrestleMania, and obviously a story here would be Dean and Roman. It's kind of the untouched story of the Shield.
Yeah, because we've gotten so much Dean and Seth, right?
So much Roman and Seth, too.
Roman and Seth.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen Roman and Dean, really.
I can't recall them ever having a one-on-one contest.
I know they had at least one at Survivor Series 2000.
Yes. Sorry, my bad.
15?
Yes.
But I think that's it.
We haven't really seen it, and I mean, it gives something for them to do at Mania. And if Dean is really leaving, I guess that's a good way to leave, is fighting Roman.
Yeah.
But whether that happens or not is another story, because you never really can believe anything that comes out of WWE's mouth.
That's the thing. You have to take every sort of last time ever, last once in a lifetime type of deal. You have to take that with a grain of salt, because this is the WWE, and we know that once they have something good, they beat it and beat it and beat it into the ground.
Oh, they milk it. It's like they're like Disney in that respect. Disney milk everything for anything they can get. I mean, there's a Toy Story 4 coming out in a few months. Like, it's...
That's going to be good, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, I'll watch it too.
Just saying, that movie's gonna make me cry. Like that's what I said when Toy Story 3 came out. I was like, oh, do we really need another Toy Story this far along?
It was sad.
And that movie was fantastic.
Toy Story 2 is my favorite movie ever. Just side note. So anyway, WWE are gonna milk it, and they're gonna make it is what it is. But hey, we need something for WrestleMania to sink our teeth into with Roman and Dean. So hey, this could just be a farewell address. We don't know, but I never believe anything with wrestling. But overall, as we kind of wrap down, we're only 10 minutes or so away from Raw. Fastlane was fine. It did what it needed to. It got us, past that to get to WrestleMania. There were some good matches. It was a good show for the most part.
Yeah, it really was. With the card on hand that we had, I think a lot of us expected a decent show. So I'm glad they were able to deliver, because a bad show right before WrestleMania would they'd almost have to reset. And they don't have time to do that now.
Yeah. But anyway, it's not really too much else to talk about with Fastlane. We're all gearing up for Raw and WrestleMania. One thing that I do need to... We're going to be... me and Kev are going to have a chat in the next few days about what we're planning to do for WrestleMania week. Because we're going to be around, obviously. I have the week off of work, so I'm going to be very flexible in my time of when I can and can't record. I'm pretty much going to be home all week. So, the week leading into Mania, you'll probably hear our voices probably 3 or 4 times throughout the week. We're going to do a Reverb Rewind, a special WrestleMania edition of Reverb Rewind that week. We're going to do a WrestleMania prediction show for our debut on BrainBusta Radio. Just a lot of WrestleMania fun kind of deals, I guess is the word. Also, you need to make sure that you go to Kevin's Twitter at KevinCWrestling, because you still have a few days left to vote for the special NXT TakeOver Reverb Rewind edition that's going to take place this time next week. So before or after Raw, whenever we decide to record, it's going to be an NXT TakeOver.
It's a relatively tight race too.
It is. It really is. I had the opportunity this time of voting, obviously, because I didn't make the poll. Kevin is the one behind the brains behind this one. Whatever wins, though, it'll be a good show, because all takeovers are pretty dang good.
Yeah, and I made sure to pick 4 of them that we would have ample. We'd have at least something worthwhile to talk about.
Yeah, they all do. I know what I picked. I'll keep that to myself. But I am excited to watch a takeover, because I'll probably watch it on... The poll ends this Thursday, your time, Friday, my time. So this weekend, I'll crank out a takeover before we record, and it'll be sweet. It'll be good. I'm really excited for that.
Yep.
Other than that, we're gearing up for Raw. We're ready for that. We'll catch you guys later this week for another edition of Wrestling Reverb. We got some cool stuff coming up with BrainBusta, and we have the one thing that kind of steered me towards BrainBusta was the fact that we have 100% creative freedom to do whatever the hell we want. We can... Wilf does not care what we do as long as we produce good content. And I think at this point, me and Kevin are pretty comfortable with each other to do that. So,
Yeah.
sometimes Kev and I sometimes we have our episodes planned out, like segment for segment. And other times we just roll with the punches and have a chat. And that's probably going to be later this week. We're just going to have a little bit of a chit-chat about wrestling and see what happens on Raw and SmackDown this week. It'll be fun. So, anything else you want to add to that, Kevin?
No, just make sure you're following us all over social media. You're subscribing to the podcast on wherever you get your podcasts. We're gonna have some exciting things in the work coming up. Like you said, it's WrestleMania weekend in just a few short weeks now. Only 27 days away from WrestleMania. This is the time to subscribe. This is the time to get listening. So here we are.
Yeah, this is gonna be really cool. We'll catch you guys later this week, and peace out. Bye.
Welcome to Wrestling with Karen's podcast, where I discuss all things WWE, available on Apple Podcasts, Podomatic app, and Spotify. The blog is available on wrestlingwithkaren.blogspot.com.